Hi and welcome to today's Graduate Mentor Workshop, an insight into ACCA. Thank you for all responding to the invite. It's great to see everyone here and ready to learn from our speaker today, Urvi. We will get to Urvi in just a moment, but I'll just introduce Graduate Mentor shortly first. So we do tend to host webinars like this once a month to give students, graduates, and mentees extra guidance and advice that as they make their transition out of university. So I am Karima Kiat, and I am the marketing manager for Graduate Mentor, which was founded by Dan Hawes in August 2020. Now, the idea of this is to allow students and graduates to have free one-to-one mentoring sessions to help them reach their career potential with expert support. So I am also the marketing manager of Graduate Recruitment Bureau, which is the go-to platform for university students, recent grads, alumni, and recruiters as well. And we have just around 75 staff at the moment and over 2,000 clients across all sectors, with clients such as Amazon, IBM, Unilever, Ocado, and several other SMEs. And our recruitment experts have successfully matched over 8,000 graduates with graduate level or executive level jobs too. So since we launched Graduate Mentor over 2 years ago now, we have a community of over 4,000 students and graduates on our platform. So they represent a full spectrum of backgrounds in terms of universities and courses, with a lot of them representing diverse backgrounds and unrepresented groups. So this is the main audience that we are trying to help get onto the career ladder. Now, this shows you where the main bulk of our mentees are from, with the universities and the courses there. So we have a nice diverse range there. Now, we have achieved a lot over the last 2 years, and as I've said, we've hit over 4,000 mentees on the platform, all having completed a session as well, and 300 mentors have joined us too. We've hosted 12 workshops just like this one, where they're all recorded and on our website for you to look back on later after this if you need as well. And we do actually have a large social following of 2,500 in total at the moment and growing. And we actually reach 53,000 accounts each month through the socials. And we actually have 20 success stories from mentees that have either had great outcomes from their interviews or landed a job, or just gained confidence in their job search. So it's a really good turnout for that. And we have also hosted skills webinars directly with 7 different universities as well, including like Bedfordshire, for example. And we have some great partners supporting us, which help us cover the costs and allow us to maintain Graduate Mentor for the future. So I'd like to thank GRB, SureServe Group, Softwire, and Oakwood for doing that. Thank you. So just a little bit about Urvi. She works as a tax specialist at Deloitte and is one of the youngest mentors that we have on the Graduate Mentor platform at the moment. So it's a great addition to our talented team. But before this, she's actually obtained a master's degree and completed all of her ACCA papers too. So it would be very insightful to hear from her today and see what she can tell us about ACCA. Whilst Urvi is speaking, please just make sure you put yourself on mute, but please type any questions that you have in the chat for us to cover them at the end. So we'll do a little Q&A. And this webinar is being recorded too, so you will have the chance to come back to this in the future if you need. And so on that note, Urvi, would you like to take over? Oh, I think you're on mute, Urvi, sorry.
Oh, what a great start. I mean, this is going great. Anyways, thanks, Kay, for the, lovely introduction, and welcome everyone. I know how to use technology. Please just ignore the fact that I forgot about the mute button. So before I start my presentation, I just want to quickly welcome everyone. Thanks so much for taking the time. And, I hope you guys learn about ACCA, and I hope you understand if it fits in your career plan or not. Either ways, feel free to shoot questions. We will, discuss all of them at the end, and you can, Any question is welcome, even if I don't cover something even in the presentation and you think about it, ask me. It's totally fine. I'm here to help. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it perfectly. I'm hoping everyone else can.
Yes. Okay, then I'll go ahead. If somebody can't see the screen, please put it down in the chat and we'll be here to assist you. Okay. So let's start. This is about ACCA. The fun fact, the motto of ACCA is think ahead. So let's see what ACCA qualification can do for you. So what we'll be covering today in the presentation is a brief about ACCA, ACCA's exam patterns and how to approach them. I'll also be discussing about the different exams that I have given. I've given all of them, but you can also get exemptions. So we'll be covering that. Some salary insights on what you can expect to earn after or while doing ACCA. What makes ACCA different from other degrees? Some testimonials from ACCA members. And in the end, we will be covering a few of your questions. So let's get started. So ACCA actually originally started out as London Association of Accountants, which would have been a terrible acronym, but I'm glad that they moved on from it in 1904. And now it's one of the largest professional bodies. It's very global in the sense that there's 800,000 students across 178 countries. It's important to know that ACCA is recognized globally in majority of these countries, so you can work anywhere you like. A network of 453 partnerships, which includes with universities, companies which recognize ACCA, etc. And there are 110 offices of ACCA around the world. ACCA has always been forward thinking in the sense that it was the first professional accountancy body to welcome a female member back in 1909. And as covered in the previous slide, it only started in 1904. So in 5 years, they, involved a female member back in 1900s, which was a rather conservative time for education and women. 44% of the ACCA members are, and 52% of the students, ACCA students, are female, which is a very good ratio if you ask me. And ACCA members have access to a global community of like-minded professionals. Even if you go on the ACCA site, they have a community where you can talk to everybody else, discuss questions, and many more such other benefits. Now, this is an interesting part, is because ACCA has made sure to include a digital element in every module that you can find, especially with the rise of technology, in particular AI. There's an increased demand of professionals who know how to handle technology well, and it helps when you have a course which already teaches you things. So it covers things like cloud and mobile, big data, which is very important in multinational companies because they always analyze so much data to understand what helps their business and what doesn't. E-business, because everything is online now, and obviously statistics, because you need to understand what works for you and what doesn't. So if, with ACCA, since they include all of these, you can, go into audit data analytics, you can go into fintech, which is very in right now, data protection, security and controls, especially with the growth of technology. There's always a risk of, financial information being lost or stolen. Blockchain and crypto were big for a long time, if you guys remember. Informational technologies and systems for organizational performance, and performance management systems, which is very important in almost every industry, and so on. Okay, let's go through ACCA exams. In a nutshell, There are 9 applied knowledge and skill papers, in which 4 are only MCQ based and 5 are MCQ plus long answer. So this 9 is divided into 4 plus 5. One ethics and professional skills module, which is something each ACCA student has to do to understand morals and understand what would be the right decision and not just the profitable decision in a business. Now, there are 2 essential strategic professional papers, which are compulsory for everyone to take. 2 chosen strategic professional papers. I'll discuss about this more in the next slide. 9 performance objectives. This comes when you start working. Okay, so 5 essential objectives, which are common for everyone, and 4 technical, which you can choose according to the work that you do, either in audit or tax or accounting. That depends on your choice. And you have to work for 36 months, which is 3 years, to qualify as an ACCA. Fun fact, if you've already worked previously, even internships, all of this is counted as long as it's valid accounting or finance related work. Now, what is different about ACCA is originally they used to have CB, which is computer-based papers, only for the first 9, and the professional papers used to be something you would go and write. But with the COVID and everything going online, they've expedited their process, and now everything, all of their exams are online. You can either go to a learning partner or one where ACCA has recognized it as a learning partner or a university, or you can go home and sit and remotely write these papers. I would recommend that you go to one of these centers that ACCA has and give it. In case you have any technology issues, they're there to assist. At home, it might be a risk. Now, with online papers, the spreadsheets are in the documents, like in the answer sheets. They're there, so you can do your workings and show it to them how it worked out. The good thing here is, even if you make one step wrong, you only penalize for that one step. So because of that one step, even though your answer is wrong, you will get marks for the other steps, which I think is a very good way of thinking, that your process, you might make one mistake, but you should not be penalized by losing all your marks. On-demand exams are the first 4, which I'll discuss again, but those have instant results in 2 hours. And for session-based, which are all the remaining papers, you will get your results in 6 weeks, so which is 1.5 months of stressing like I did. Okay, so let's see this course structure. So the first are essential applied knowledge papers, that is business and technology, financial accounting, management accounting. Also corporate and business law. This one can be a session-based or a MCQ based, which is an on-demand paper. It depends on the region and the variant that you take. So you guys will have to check that. For these papers, again, if you've already completed your bachelor's in a relevant accounting field, they are exempt. So you need to check that. For me, I started alongside college, so I gave all of these papers, which was really not fun, but we have moved on from that. Now let's go to essential applied skill papers. Taxation is extremely numerical. It has a lot of details that you need to see, and it's actually a very fun and challenging paper in a sense. Performance management is not something I enjoyed. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a costing person, but it's also a numerical paper. Audit and assurance was mostly theory. Corporate and business law, again theory. Financial reporting is a mix. It's theory, it's theory and numerical, and financial management is a numerical paper. Again, just want to emphasize that you have 4 attempts you can give in a year. So each, I think March, July, September, and December, you can give your papers. You can give more than one, and it maxes out at 4 papers. You can give 4 papers per session. I would recommend you stick to 1 or 2 because it might get a little intense. EPSM module is done once you finish these papers. I think the requirement is you finish first 9 papers and only then. EPSM again is ethics and professional skills module, which we've covered above. So that is a fun interactive module that you have to do, which actually teaches you a lot more than you'd realize. Now, onto essential strategic professional papers. Strategic Business Leader is the only paper in ACCA which is for 4 hours. It's really long, I know, and it's all theory. I still know that, but I promise you, it's actually not that hard. It's more on a general, and it helps you improve your communication and writing skills. Strategic business reporting is a normal 3 hour paper that you would, and now let me, correct myself and say now you don't have to write, you have to type more. So if you're giving any of these papers, I would suggest you sit and practice your typing, because even if you're good at it, with a time limit and all this thinking, it can be challenging. Now, for chosen strategic professional papers. So if you see, all of these papers have already been covered in a basic level here. So you get to choose which papers you want to specialize in, or which subject you want to specialize in, which I think is nice, because once you've tried them all on a foundational level, you get to try them on a more professional, advanced level. So for me personally, I chose advanced audit and advanced taxation. You can choose whatever fields or whatever papers you are comfortable with or you want to go into. But I think it helps a lot when you have studied all of these papers, so you know which fields work for you and which don't. Again, I would also like to remind you guys here that theory and working in real life are two different things. So pick carefully. And then obviously you work for 3 years, and then you become an ACCA member. Once you finish all your papers, you get an ACCA affiliate status. Now let's discuss the most important point of why we should do this degree, is how much we should earn with it. So these are statistics. No, these are the salaries as per Hayes recruitment of 2022. So they're pretty recent. So if you're a trainee or part qualified, which is not if you haven't finished all 13 papers, so these are the ranges you will get. It's 20,000 to 28, and part qualified get 30,000 to 37,000. If we move on to newly qualified, means you've finished all your papers. I also assume you might have already worked till then, so you might have a little bit of experience at this age. So that would be 50,000 to 55. Finance managers get 60,000 to 70,000. Finance directors get 100,000 to 200,000, and group finance directors and CFOs get 200,000. And I'm assuming additional benefits. I wish I could skip to this part, but I can't. So we're going to move on. As you can see, this is one from the latest reports. So you guys should know what you are worth once you finished or you're studying ACCA, so you can quote accordingly when you go for interviews. Now, the real question, why should I choose ACCA and not any other degree? So these are the reasons why ACCA is different from other degrees. First of all, ACCA has a very comprehensive syllabus. If you've already seen the old slide, we go through each and every subject. Now, each subject has a book and you give a paper. So you have a broad base of knowledge by the time you're done with all your skill level papers of what is there to be done, which I don't think is there in other degrees. So if you're clear on what you want, that's great. So you can go ahead and specialize, but it's for, like people who are, a little confused or want to explore all their options. I would recommend that ACCA is great because it has a comprehensive syllabus. Global opportunities, ACCA is recognized in multiple countries, UK, Gulf, everywhere else really. Now it depends on the country because some countries prefer their local certifications. So you need to do your research before you plan. But otherwise, ACCA is recognized everywhere. Fun fact, ACCA, if you do an ACCA, it's equivalent to a UK master's degree. So if you finished your graduation or your bachelor's and then you go ahead and do ACCA, that's also equivalent to a master's degree. So you should bring that up when discussing in interviews. The syllabus in ACCA is updated annually. It depends on the subject, but I would recommend you always get the latest books, especially for taxation, because even if you change the rates by 1%, all your answers change, all your learning changes. So that can be something which is very new, because a lot of times they publish one book and it's used for for next 20 years, but ACCA makes a point to update their syllabus every year. The mandatory ethics module is something that you don't see everywhere. And as someone who's done the module, I'm telling you that they go through real life scenarios of where if, for example, your manager is pushing you to do something which is unethical, how do you deal with it? Who are the right parties to go to? Where you should go? But before all that, you should know what the right step is, and then you should know who to contact for assistance. Okay, now you guys are thinking, I'm one person who's done ACCA. So like, why should you listen to me? So let's go and listen from other people who are incredibly successful in their life and who've done ACCA and what they have to say about ACCA. So I reached out to a couple of people, and these are the things they have to say. ACCA was a long journey, but the byproducts from doing this qualification have been manifold, and these have supported me professionally and also personally. So while you're doing ACCA, since it's a long journey, which is very correct, because it's 13 papers, which will seem to go on forever, but I promise you they'll end one day. It's important that all these skills that you learn during the exams is like time management, organization, ability to recap all of these pages into a summary, maybe things like that. They also help you professionally, also personally in the long run. This comes from the very, very important person, and I was very happy when I could get a quote for you guys. This comes from the head of ACCA Middle East, and she was recently recognized as one of the top 100 most powerful business women in 2023 by Forbes, so which was truly spectacular. And she believes that ACCA has helped her a lot. Moving on, this person says, I strongly advise taking into account an ACCA qualification for anyone thinking about pursuing an entrepreneurial path. A lot of times students think that if you do ACCA, you need to end up in a office job, do 9 to 5, corporate, big four kind of things. But you can use your skills from ACCA that you've learned and become an entrepreneur. There is no fixed path for you. You can choose what you like. The skills and knowledge you gain can be essential for success, and the credibility and networking opportunities can be invaluable. It helps a lot when you're part of a global community because it's a good talking point where you start, and people like to talk to someone they're a little familiar with. Even if you have one common thing with someone, go on and approach them. For getting these quotes is also a networking lesson for me because I had to reach out to a lot of people and ask them, hi, can you help me with this? I'm giving a presentation, and I would really appreciate if you could give me 2 lines on why ACCA has helped you and everything like that. This comes from someone who's an entrepreneur and managing partner in a firm he created, which has been running for 5 years, and it's incredibly successful. Finally, ACCA has designed one of the best examination models, which not only test your theoretical knowledge, but it ensures that you have a complete understanding of that knowledge. I'm proud to be part of a world-class, globally recognized professional body, and that has supported me fully by my international mobility and growth. This comes from somebody who's a financial controller who works in the government. Now, it's important to know that you can work anywhere, at any designation that you like. ACCA does not stop you at one point that you have to end up in accounting or finance. You can go and work in any industry that you like. Well, that brings me to the end of my presentation, and I will now field some questions if you guys have any.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Urvi. Let's just see if I think a few people might have some questions. I can see some typing, so we'll just bear with whilst they type. Yeah, it's been a really great insight, Urvi. Thank you so much. So I really like the testimonial about the fact that you can be an entrepreneur after your ACCA and that you're not actually confined to working in a corporate office environment. I think that's a really good addition to that.
Yes, I think it was very important to tell everyone that you're just not going to end up in an office job. You can do what you like with these skills. It's your decision.
Yeah, I like that. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So Oliver is asking, he's saying, I am a finance master's student. I've previously studied the content you mentioned. If the ACC qualification is the equivalent of a master's degree, what would be the purpose of me studying the ACCA?
Oh, it's a great question, Oliver. So I see you've already studied some of these subjects. So okay, this works for people who do not wish to give their masters but go on for a degree or a qualification that works for them. I know a lot of people who've finished their 12th grade and done ACCA. ACCA also has partnerships with people where you can get a bachelor's degree if you give one thesis along with ACCA. And ACCA also has multiple tie-ups with other, universities where you can do a MSc in some or something like that. It's equivalent to a master's degree, and you can go ahead and do it. I mean, that's great. Go ahead and do it. But ACCA gives you a wide range, and then you go and specialize in things you like. I don't know if your master's degree will do that, because for masters, it's important that you know what you're going to go ahead and master in, or it would be a general master's. ACCA is a mix of both. It's general at the start, and then you go on and specialize in what you like. So I think that's how it's different from a master's degree. Are you on mute, Kay? It's your turn now to be on mute.
Thank you. We've both done it now.
Yes.
Yeah, so Raisa is asking, would we be provided with a mentor? Does mentoring come with ACCA?
So ACC does have a mentoring program. Personally, I have not used it, so I cannot comment, but I do know that they have a mentoring program, and you can reach out to anybody in the community who are, already willing to be a mentor, and then you can help, each other out.
Brilliant. And obviously, of course, you can always come to Graduate Mentor as well before that,
Yeah.
if you wanted to, if you needed some extra advice as well. I can see a couple of people more typing as well. I did actually have a question for myself. Just as a student wanting to get into ACCA, how would you go about applying for this? Like, how would you do that?
Okay, yes, that's a great question. So I understand this is how it works. Is to be clear, I do not register on my own. I started with tutoring, so they registered on my behalf. I think a lot of tutoring companies, providers do that. So you might have to check. But this is how it basically works. There's an initial one-time registration fee that you pay, along with a form that you fill and submit. And then every year you pay ACCA an annual subscription fee. And then there's also your examination fees. Okay, quick tip here for examination fees. There's two. There's standard entry and late entry. So I highly recommend that you plan it in advance and you take it in the standard entry, because the late entry fee is double the cost. And let's face it, we're not going to pay that much. So yeah, that would be great. So it's a pretty simple process.
Thank you, Irvi. We have Kishore asking, hi, I'm doing my accounting and finance undergrad last year. My university is offering my exemption of 4 papers, so I have to complete the remaining 9. What advice or process do you suggest for me to start learning for the papers? And can you recommend me any tutors or institutions where they could help me with the exams?
Okay, wow, that's a lovely, comprehensive question. Kishore has covered everything that he can. I love it. So, Kishore, let's start with one question, please. Kay, could you repeat the first question?
Of course, yes. So, what advice or process would you suggest to start learning for the papers?
Okay, that's great. So, I would recommend that you start with one paper each. So you already have 4 papers exemption. You will need to check, because I understand that there's an exemption fee for each paper that you don't give. So you will have to first check that. So please do check that. Secondly, you should start giving one paper. And once you get a little more comfortable, if you're planning to give more than one paper, there's this great link, which I can put it down for you guys. It's a link on Open Tuition, which gives you the best ACCA combination papers to give. which would help. So either the syllabus is complementary for both, so it works out if you study this, this will help you here, and vice versa, or there's one common, parts of syllabus which helps you again. So I will put that down in the chat box. Do remind me at the end. So yeah, I would suggest that. Second question, please.
Yes, so is asked, can you recommend me any tutors or institutions where they can help me with the exams?
Well, Kishore, I sadly don't know a lot of UK tutors, so I'm not the best person for that. However, I can tell you which books will work. So there are only two learning approved providers for ACCA, which is Kaplan and BPP. As someone who's used them both, I would recommend that when you're starting out, take Kaplan. It's a more simpler, brief form of text which gets you through and you find it better. BPP has a lot more details, which I think works a little more in professional when you have to write lengthier answers. So I hope that helps. Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you. And Harsh has asked, I'm confused between CFA and ACCA. Why did you choose ACCA over CFA? And does studying ACCA mean you will be limited only to accounting or audit jobs, or will you have plenty of opportunities in finance or investment as well? I can just ask the first question first again, if you'd like. So, why did you choose ACCA over CFA?
Okay. So I feel this is again a personal opinion. I did this research ages ago, so please go ahead and check if there's some updates in the syllabus which I have not seen in CFA. Back then, when I was deciding, there were a lot of degrees: CPA, CFA, ACCA. What I liked about ACCA is the flexibility. I can give one paper at a time. I'm not sure if CFA has that. I think you have to give a batch of papers because there are 3 levels, if I'm not wrong. It's a lot of studying. Plus, already that investment banking is great, but is more on a general base, and I wanted a broad, base of knowledge before I decided what I wanted.
Lovely, thank you. And just the second part of the question, does studying ACCA mean that you will only be limited to accounting or audit jobs, or will you have plenty of other opportunities in finance and investment as well?
Sorry, breathing a little, Kate. Could you?
Oh, my apologies. I think the internet, I'm not too sure. Oh, bear with us. Oh, there we go. Irvi, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still there. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yeah, I think there might have been just a little bit of a connection issue, but that's fine. Yes, so does studying ACCA mean you will be limited only to accounting or audit jobs, or will you have plenty of other opportunities in finance and investment as well?
I really think that you can go ahead and do anything, because if you see, we do a lot. We do financial management, we do performance management. It's not just limited to audit and tax, as everyone thinks. And if you saw from the testimonial, there was an entrepreneur, there's a financial controller. I'm not sure how much it will work in investment banking. Maybe you might have to take an additional certification. But having this broad base will actually even help you as compared to people who just specialize in one degree. So you would have a larger or more comprehensive base to begin with. So you might be able to point out issues they might not know. So I think it's a win-win.
Brilliant, thank you. And Kishore has a couple more questions. So which is the best strategy to complete ACCA?
The best strategy is, it comes from me personally, is to, there will come a point, I always tell it to anybody who's asking me about ACC, there will come a point in time where you are just done. Okay, it's a long journey. 13 papers, I know it seems less, but when you give one every 3 months, you're exhausted. Okay, so it's a lot of stress that you go through. Personally, for I stress about the result. Then 1.5 months, I stress about the exam, and it just continues. That cycle just goes on. So there will come a time where you will be like, I can't do this. I reached it when I hit 7 papers. I was like, this is, I mean, we don't have to. I'm tired. I don't want to. But all I can tell you is if you push through, you will get through it. And that's the biggest motivation of getting it done. Apart from, also I showed you the salary. I'm hoping that helps you as a motivation. But while you're studying, just aim through getting it through in one go.
That's some good advice there. Right, so we have Raisa. I am currently completing an undergrad, accounting and finance, and I am planning to continue with a master's degree on it. Would it be better to do that or get into an ACCA straight away after the undergrad?
Ooh, it's a great question. Oh, I mean, I think you should check. So there's this thing called exemptions calculator. I will again, go ahead and share it with everyone with something
Sorry.
else. Like we can share resources.
I think you just cut out a little bit there, Urvi.
Okay. So
yeah, if you want to
say, yeah. I was saying that if we can, okay, is there a way we can share some form of resources with everyone after the presentation?
Yes,
okay,
yeah,
great.
definitely.
So I'm going to go ahead and add a list of things that would be helpful. So there's a thing called ACCA exemptions calculator, where you can check, with your degree, with your college, if it works out and how many papers exemption you can get. So if you're going ahead with a master's, I mean, then go ahead and take ACCA after your master's. But if you feel like it's okay and it's not that great, or if it's still a long list of papers that you still have to give, start it along with your master's so you can finish quicker.
Brilliant, thank you. And it looks like Lord Wynn has one more question. After we complete a paper, is there an expiry period which we need to complete the remaining papers?
As far as I am aware, it's either 10 or 15 years. So I think we're good for a while. So I think it's a long time. You'll be done. I promise you, you'll be done.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Urvi. It seems that those are all of the questions for now. So bear with me. Let me just see if there's any. Can I watch? Yes, so the recording of this will be on our YouTube channel. Race has just asked. We will send the link out to everyone who's attended and for those of who missed the webinar as well today. But we will send you all an email with the link and everything with all the information. And I think Urvi has answered everyone's questions, so thank you. And I'd like to thank you, Urvi.
Oh, hang on, Kay. I think I'd like to give a few final tips.
Oh, of course.
And I also want to show the last slide of my presentation because I worked on it.
Of course,
yes.
Go for it.
You've seen it. So a few final tips for everyone is that one, mock exams are the way to go. Okay. Please don't scale back on those. Give it in the time limit. Give it in the exam situation. Okay. Pretend that you are giving the exam and you do it. They are very essential because then you know. Secondly, for mock exams, I would recommend that you guys get somebody else to correct your mock and tell them be as harsh as you can. Pretend that you hate me and correct my mock because that's the only way you're going to know. If ACCA decides, if the examiner you get has decided to be very strict, I'm telling you that 1 mark from 49 to 50 is going to be the most important thing in your life at that point. So that is important. Also, what else? Yes, go through past exams. Okay, go through past exams. So ACCA, I don't know where it does that anymore, but back when I used to study, ACCA used to have this bar graph. Okay, for each attempt and the pass rates on it. So what I would do is I would go ahead and yes, thanks for sharing, Kay. I would go ahead and take the paper with the least pass mark because that must be the hardest paper or is the one where they corrected as harshly as they could. as strictly as they could. So I would go ahead and do that paper, and I would ensure that somebody else corrected it just as strictly. Like I would tell them, make it your goal to find a way to fail me, because that's the only way you're going to go ahead and be confident. So even if you get 52, 53, at this point in ACCA, it's just important to clear your paper and get through it. So, yes, I think these are my final tips. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to reach out to me on Graduate Mentor, on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to answer and have a quick chat or call or whatever works for you.
Brilliant.
Yes, and please appreciate my final slide, because unlike the ACC syllabus, which I found never ending, my presentation has come to an end.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Urvi. I appreciate it. And like you said, if anyone wants to book a session with Urvi, she's available on the website, so you can search her name and book a session with her there. So thank you for everyone who's attended. Thank you so much for your time, Urvi, and sharing your insights on ACCA as well. It's been really interesting. And thank you to everyone else, and take care.
Yes, thanks everyone. Thanks, Kay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.